Hello there everybody and welcome to my new tutorial about irrigation in Dwarf Fortress. In this one I'm going to explain what it means, how to do it, and introduce a couple of methods that are compatible for beginners and more experienced players alike. So I try to cover up all the usual methods and also introduce some of my own, and I hope we're going to find something that works for everybody out there. So the first thing, let's talk about what is irrigation actually. Irrigation in Dwarf Fortress is the method which makes this bluish floor here usable for farm tiles, because right now, as you see there, we cannot farm here. So we can farm on this floor though as soon as there is mud, and mud is created whenever water touches this cabin floor. So irrigation is all about the art of getting water somewhere where it retreats then to leave a muddy splash behind. I'm going to show you the methods that are quite useful. So the first one is going to be the most beginner-friendly one, albeit the least effective one, and that's the bucket method. What you need for that is buckets, obviously, and water from somewhere, and a couple of really diligent dwarves. So first step, we assign a water source. Second step, you check out where your farm's supposed to be. Here we have taken that room. Step 3, carve out an area above there, and then we channel out this and that. And now we have a hole in the floor above there. And now we go for the pit and pond zone. And then we accept that. And now the next thing you have to do is designate that as a pond and not as a pit. And now your dwarves will occasionally grab their bucket of water, put it down there, and then it will evaporate. So there's a couple of problems with this method. First off, you need a lot of buckets for that, because buckets are occasionally grabbed by other workshops, and that's the understatement of the year. So basically, to make that happen, really you need a lot of buckets. So prepare yourself to craft yourself a lot of buckets. And if there's still a problem with that, there is the method to add a new work detail specifically for water hauling. So if you have any problems, just create yourself some water haulers and get them working. But even with all those efforts, I got to say, this is the slowest of all methods. It will take a time until you have your ground irrigated, and it's best used for probably very small farms, but it's totally safe. There's no bigger problem with that, and you don't run into any risks of flooding accidentally your base. Like this, it's just very harmless, but very slow. So let's go on to the bigger guns. So the next one is going to be a very classical irrigation. So we need water for that, but the next one is really attractive because you don't need a sink for that. So you can use it before you are able to get rid of water, which is most of the time one step beyond. So here's the deal. We have here a water intake. Don't think about the right side way here too much. That's all just my sink. But what's really interesting is we have this direction here. The water goes down here. You know what? We're just going to open the floodgate here and see that in motion. So here we go, inner floodgate, and yeah, the water goes now this way down, and the doors here are locked. So what will happen here is now the water will fill, and here, as you see, I have a room below, which is supposed to be my farm in the future, and I have this little room here locked off by one door and one hatch. The setup is pretty much calculated out. We have 10 grids of water up above here, and we have 49 grids of farm here. So roughly 5 times the amount of farming spot versus the water. So 10 tiles of water versus 49 grids will work. So the next thing we do now is we open the hatch here. So for that, I have the hatch irrigation seal lever. So it's important that these are different levers, that the hatch in the ground and the door have different levers. And now what happens now is we're opening that gate here. We let this room fill up. And now we close the door. That's really important, unless you have a sink available. And as soon as this door is shut again, the water inside here is contained. And this is no longer a risk for your base. And now we pull that lever, which is linked to the hatch in the ground here. And now that water will drop into this area, spread out, and quickly evaporate. So that's one way to do this. And the big benefit of this method is you can do this while you are still miles away from controlling water. And the best part about that is we could now technically branch off and do that several times in a row. So this is a really nice build. Kudos to the Dwarf Fortress Wikipedia. I just put that into motion here. And as you see here, this will take a while now, but as long as the water is not higher than 1 or 2, it'll evaporate eventually, depends on your biome, and leave up nice ground there. The other method that I got here, in case you already have a sink but no clever system like that, we have here another thing, and that's what I call brute force with a sink. So what we're doing here is we're pulling that lever, and here that door will open, lead into this room here, where I have another staircase downwards. So there we go. The room here will eventually get flooded, which is totally my intention. And now when we go downstairs, I have one channel that links up back to my big sink that leads outside to the world. So this method, you can casually flood an area. So here we go. And now we can, again, pull that lever. And once that door is closed again, this room will empty up again because there's no new influx of water. The remaining water will flow away from into this direction, and what remains, you did see that in the beginning of the video. This was basically one method that I went up before I checked out this fancy, sophisticated method here. So as you see there, it takes a while to get rid of the water again, but don't worry. If it's looking like that, everything is okay. You just need some patience. So the last method that I wanted to introduce here is using the murky pools or standing water things, but sadly it's summer, so I can only do a theoretical thing. So I have found one here. This pond here, you see, it's 4 on 3 grids, so it contains 12 units of water. So we can then, I dug down here, this is blueprint mode, and then you can just lead that water down here and let it evaporate. The thing about murky pools is they have a finite amount of water, and while the water is not safe for drinking, it's totally fine for irrigation, and you can empty this pool with that. So I put this up like that because in case you're insecure how many grids you need, how the ratio is, it's 5 times as many tiles of as we have upstairs. So we have 12 tiles upstairs, so we need 60 tiles of farm. But if you're insecure, I came up with this idea. Just dig it out like that, install a door here, and seal that off with a lever. And in case the water is too much, you can just open up the door and pipe it off into another room. And when you notice that this room here was not enough, you can easily replicate that method until you until you're rid of all the water. Whenever you work with water, it's just important to have some sort of a plan to work with it, to shut it off, to be safe around it, in case things don't go as you want to. So with these methods, you should be really able to get yourself some farmland going, and it's really not that hard. And all of these methods have their value. Even the infamous bucket method can be really, really good if you really want to get yourself a farm going really quickly, really early on, or if there's any other good reason to avoid the upper levels here, that's the way to go. And yeah, that's all. So feel free to share me your methods. Feel free to add in any further ideas or whatever is crossing your mind. I'm really happy to hear from you guys. And of course, leave a thumbs up, leave your questions below, and leave a subscription if you haven't done so already. I do a lot of content every day, and if you like that one, chances are you like the rest of my stuff as well. So check out the playlist link down there. There's a lot of other Dwarf Fortress tutorials, and a big thanks to the supporters. I really appreciate. And also check out the support links if you want. I'd be really, really happy about that. Thanks for watching the video to the bitter end. I bet not many people do that. I wish you have a wonderful day and see you soon.